2012 jazz cruise. Freddie, do you think this is one of the better cruises you've been on?
By all means, it's one of the best I've been on. Especially, I've done several with Anita and Michael and them, but this overall has been the best one, I think, music-wise.
Well, and could you elaborate a little more? In terms
Well, you know, they have some great professional musicians here who make themselves feel as if they're your neighbor next door. And that's one of the things about it, the camaraderie about getting together with the guys, you know. Jay Leonard, man, and I haven't seen Benny Golson in years, and the respect that they give you is impeccable. They take care of everything. There's never any problems. If any problems arise, you can always go to somebody, and you can't ask for anything else.
Yeah, you were remarking to me the other day, are there any performers who you've especially enjoyed on the cruise this time?
I especially enjoyed my friend Nan Hampton Calloway. She was one of the most professional professional show that she did. And it was just a thrill to see, because a lot of times the other acts, they're great acts, they sing good or whatever, but they don't know how to present what they do.
Right.
And her presentation was impeccable, great music behind her, great arrangements, and she laid it right out there.
Yeah. How many cruises do you do a year?
Well, I used to do like 2 a year, and then we had to make a decision whether to stay with Anita or go with Joe Siegel's cruise when he was doing it, and so I chose to do this particular cruise, and so we've done quite a few. We started doing them back in '99, I guess, 98 and 99, because I remember the first one we went out on was through the Mediterranean, and we did that in a couple of years, but to come over to the Norway and get a couple of years into the Norway, and then after that it's been Joe's or either Anita's, and it's been nice, but this has been, like I say, overall one of the best ones I've ever been on.
Well, I would second that. I mean, I've been just inspired by the level of consistency.
Yeah, well, the closest one that would come to mind would be that year when Joe Williams and Ray Brown and Keita Betts and Frank Foster, Ben Riley, and now that was the most fun that we had, because right. Crazy's Ben and Keita, it was just a pleasure, sheer pleasure. But to see the guys, Tootie Heath now and Jimmy Heath and all the guys, it's a blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
So Freddie, what are your plans now in terms of, are you pleased with, you recently did a recording. What kind of recording did you do recently?
We did a recording recently of some selections, 5 or 6 selections from the songbook of Bill Withers, who's one of our great writers. He's just a simple guy, and he writes about simple things, but it comes off so powerful. Mm-hmm. And we did that, and we threw in a couple of good standards. We did Mademoiselle, right. And we also did a song that my son wrote after all these years. It's been a good record. Terrell Stafford, who's on the boat also, he was on it. Harry Allen, right. Great tenor player, and my aggravation, as I call him, Curtis Boyd and Randy Napoleon and Elias Bailey. It's a good record.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me, talking about that, Freddie, and having known your career for about the last 20 years or so, having listened to you a lot over the last couple decades, I noticed that the band you've been with lately has really settled in, that you've had the same band and it's really developed a lot. Can you elaborate on, the band that you currently have and what your feelings are about the band?
Yeah, well, I can sum it up quickly. This is the best band I ever had. Music-wise, they came together collectively, and Elias Bailey, who I love him to death, as I do with Randy, but Elias keeps it all together. And I got to tip my cap to Curtis Boyd. Curtis is a music-holic, I call him. And he's continually, trying to improve and trying to do different things. And we may not be the playingest band in the world, but we can be put in the category of being one of the swingingest groups.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think anything's actually any more important than where the groove is in terms of communicating to audiences. That seems to be the essence of how we reach people in this music, is this level of swing and musical story that we tell.
Yeah, you just look out in the audience and all of a sudden you see the head start to move a little bit and you see a toe tapping where you know you're getting over.
Yeah. Well, what songs are working these days in terms of, because you perform music all over the world, and what are some of the songs that the musical stories that you tell that are really work the most effectively? It seems like all over the world.
I would say one song you would laugh about it, but it's a song that Bill Eckstein wrote called Jelly, Jelly, Jelly. We can play that in any language. They love jelly, 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 And anytime you can do a touch of the blues, as I call it, you can get over with the people. Yeah. But then, in another case, I may end up doing songs about Paris, songs about here, or things that, people can relate to. Where can I go without you?
Right.
They've been all over the world, but, she's still there.
Right.
So you just can't beat it.
Are there any, as you travel around, are there any singers that I know that as a student of jazz vocal myself and as a lover of many jazz singers and a jazz producer of singers too, I've noticed that it seems to be an especially challenging situation to develop as a male jazz singer. That seems to be one of the most challenging things in terms of it's the most endangered species maybe in the modern jazz in the modern jazz realm. Just developing good strong young male jazz singers. Are there any that you notice or are encouraged by that are out here?
That's a difficult question to answer because I wonder the same thing. And there is no reason for it not to be, to have, some male singers, but I don't know why. But every girl singer you can find, they'll give her a record date, they'll put her on the major festivals, they do this and do that. And it's really not, how should I say it? It's really uncalled for with some of them. This is not to knock anyone's talent. I don't go around doing that. But there's got to be somewhere some young male singers. Now, you have some good singers on the pop angle that could, if they were exposed to it or if they wanted to get involved in it.
If they immerse themselves.
Yeah. They would be excellent
right.
so-called jazz singing, and I can't call the name or so, but several of them I've heard on record, or I may be sitting somewhere and hear them play. Yeah, I heard a young man not too long ago. I think we were in Istanbul, and I was having lunch, and this guy was playing piano at this hotel for luncheon, and he was an excellent singer, very seasoned.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think? There's a younger guy named Ian Shaw.
Ian Shaw is one of my good buddies. I like Ian. I was going to get around to calling his name. Ian comes to see me when we play at Ronnie Scott's in London. And Ian does a good job. And you can tell what he's talking about and what he's singing about, And he and I talked a long time, and I told him just to be more expressive in his enunciation of what he's trying to do,
Yeah, well, I think it's a challenge to all of us to try to find, it's an important responsibility in our music to try and cultivate and develop, as many younger male jazz singers as we can, because golly knows that we have great saxophonists around, trumpeters and piano players and bass players, and a lot of great drummers, but, male, and then certainly, I see thousands of female jazz demos besides, seeing them in different clubs. We get nothing more than female jazz demos seem to be growing on trees. But, male jazz singers, it seems to be a difficult, endeavor. And so, I know it's something that it's a challenge that you certainly had in your life, and you certainly worked hard for your career. But my heart goes out to young male jazz singers.
Yes, a young man out in San Francisco, Kenny Washington.
Yeah, I think he's outstanding.
Kenny is a very, very good musician and singer, and you got to stop and think long and hard about him, like Ernie Andrews. He was still one of the major ones, but Ernie's got a few miles on him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so does Mark Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that I think about in conjunction. You and I have worked together, Freddie, for a couple of decades, and I'm proud of our recorded body of work. But it makes me, and even the duet that you did with Jimmy Scott, I think is something that will live on for a long, long time.
Yeah, I heard it the other day. That's a great piece of music, when Rennie playing piano on it.
Right.
Yeah, and Jimmy, he was a very wonderful man to just be around.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of stories.
Well, Cedar Walton calls Jimmy Scott the king of slow. And he certainly lives up to that billing.
Yeah, Lord Walton.
So, but our musical family has, definitely, we've definitely built up a group of people that, we still are in touch with and we still work with all the time. John DiMartino and Grover Washington while he was here with us.
Well, I got to give all accolades to Grover. Grover kind of paved the way for me to be accepted more so into a wider listening audience. When we did that CD, All My Tomorrows.
Right.
And had the opportunity to work with the wonderful one, Mr. Hank Jones.
Oh, yeah.
George Mraz,
Billy Hart.
No, Billy wasn't on that date.
Yes, he was. He was. Lewis Nash and Billy Hart.
Oh, that's right, exactly.
Billy was on some of it, and Lewis Nash was on some of it.
Yeah. Billy was on the ones with the big band.
Right. George Mraz, and Homero Lubambo.
Homero, yeah.
Eddie Henderson was on some of it. But Hank Jones, the Grand Master Hank Jones, what an honor to work with
Oh,
him.
man, I'm telling you.
Bad Henry, as we call him.
No, you got some great young piano players coming along.
Oh, yes.
But then you don't have too many of them that want to try to sing. Because it's very difficult to play and sing. It's not easy.
We got an exuberant crowd over here. What do you think we can do to develop male jazz singers? Is there anything concrete that we can, Freddie, that we can
started
get
in the
involved
schools, like anything else. Started in the schools. try to get them, interested in doing that, There was a young man that I think last year when we got nominated for that Grammy for Miss Freddy Cole Sings Mr. B. He was in that top 5 category with us. I can't think of his name, but he.
Kurt Elling, Gregory.
No, not so much.
Gregory Porter.
Gregory Porter, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
No, he's one of them.
That's who I was thinking about.
Yeah, Gregory Porter.
Yeah.
It's still a precious few, but at least he's encouraging. And I've spoken to him, and he just put out another good record.
Yeah, as long as he keep.
We need him. We need him.
Putting good records out.
Yeah, we need good records.
It ain't about winning the Grammys and all that, because I have my suspicions about that, but as long as he keep doing the right thing, or be putting good records out there, he's got to be heard. He's got to be heard. That's one of the things I think we've done as well or better than anyone else. We've been consistent. We've been consistent with our material, with the records, and what have you, and there it is, and it's beginning to be, thank God, through the internet, and YouTube. I guess they've seen me all over the world from YouTube. I stopped worrying about it. Every time I see somebody click a camera, I say, okay, make sure you get my name right.
Yeah, at least spell my name right.